Good evening. This is the Elliott Wave daily update for the S&P 500 for Wednesday, January the 8th, 2024. And I'm going to start with the ES, which is where I always start because it's just the futures today, and starting on the daily chart. And what I've done is I've now, as I said I would, I've gone and I've changed the count and more that we're just continuing to count down or count within the framework for a minor A wave of intermediate wave 4. So a lot of suggestions because you can see that even after today, we're still within what I would call this box. Well, we've not exceeded that low back on the 20th of December, which was at 58.66, nor have we gotten above the high that was created on the 26th of December at 61.07. So we remain in this box, but it continues to appear that we are doing 1, 2, 1, 2, and then another 1, 2. So it's a series of nesting 1, 2, which really kind of just tells me that we got a serious downside move waiting to kick into gear. Now, each time they've actually started that along the way, and let me just go take this down and let's go right to the hourly chart and let's get inside this thing so we can see, what we've got going on. That we have the one, go up a little bit. There we go. We have the 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Now I'm going to change my code because you can see, boy, Michael, that looks a little bit weird. Yes, it does. Because you can see on the bar, it is very confusing what the market was doing here this morning. In fact, you're like, okay, you went up and then you come back down. Now, I want to show you, because often what I will do is I will go out and I'll take a look at the line chart. Line chart is on the closing basis. And let me just move this out of the way for right now. I'm going to put it up there because I want to look at this form. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down to here. That one should be actually over there. I'm going to move it again and just put it where I think it should be. And then we're in A, ABC, B, and we're working a C wave up. And that's where these fibs come in, and I'll put those back in place in just a moment. Now, if I see, that's what I've done, and I come back and I take a look at actually the whole thing. So I'm going to go up just one time. Let me just take this up to the 4-hour chart and open it up like this. And now we're looking at the whole thing. And you can see I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's our first 5 down. That's a 1. Then I have an A, B, C, right? A, B, C. That's the wave 2. And then I got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we have the next one, right? So what we've got going on here is minuet 1, minuet 2. Then we have sub minuet 1, sub minuet 2. So of the third wave. So these are sub waves, even smaller, to continue to form. And now we're within the 3 of 3, started off great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what we're going to continue to look for because we're in a downside move. And so impulses should be to the down, and then corrections are to the upside. And as long as that stays consistent, which it is so far, then I'm going to continue to look for this to turn into a larger A wave, and that we are in nesting, as we call it, nesting 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So again, we might get up overnight, and then boy, they'll come back in, and we should get a harder down on Friday. Believe it or not, on Friday, and we might gap. We might do a lot of things. Don't forget that the U.S. is where our markets are closed tomorrow, in observance of the funeral for former President Jimmy Carter, who's now laying in state up in the Capitol. So, that's the way our country works. That's how we honor our former presidents. And so that's how it's going to be done. Therefore, the markets are closed tomorrow. Banks aren't closed, but the markets are closed. So that we still, Europe will be doing business, Asia will be doing business, etc. We still have a Globex session, which will start in about a half hour here. And that Globex session will go to tomorrow morning. So, and then it's done. So there's no regular session here in the US. So we'll see what they want to do. So again, we may find ourselves gapping because another Globex session will start tomorrow on Thursday, late afternoon. Globex will start again, and that's the one that will run us into Friday morning, and then we'll be back online at 9:30 a.m. Eastern with our market open on Friday. So what's going to happen in between? Well, we could end up gapping up, we could end up gapping down, we could end up sitting still right in the middle, of course, right? Those are the choices. But I think we just need to be prepared because how this is lining up right now, it just so much doesn't really line up to, it still lines up to the preferred count, which is, of course, is that it's an intermediate fourth wave. But it, in terms of this A wave, I was placing A here for slight failure. And ES, am I look at on anything other than, if I put it back on the bar chart, you can see it came down. And still slight little failure. And so, but it fits much cleaner in 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, let me bring this back down and put it right there. And I actually have to now bring this back down because I will put it there. And it just changes a little bit. We're already our rally in this bar here, which was this morning. Let me bring it back down to the hourly chart. So now we're going to go back inside that. Again, when I put it over on this style, you can see I still put the 1 there, and then it's an A, B, and then the C. And then in the going back out, now it all lines up cleaner. And I like that. So it's actually here. And this was a tail, a very big tail. So that's the difference. Watch again. See, it's up here. So the 1 goes over here. But I'm letting it be there just so that we get a little bit more accurate for our fibs. Otherwise, I move this again, and I would put it up there. A slight difference. We'll leave it there because that's actually where I'm marking the 1. And then we have an A, B, C. Now we're just getting it together to finish up this wave, small wave 2. 59.79 is going to be a resistance level, but look where we have our moving averages again on the hourly chart. We're kind of back above the 8, and we're looking like we're getting back above the 4. We did. And come on, dang. And we're actually, Jesus, this is going to drive me crazy. I'm not looking for the fib. It's at 59.58, which is where the 20 is. And we are closed just below it, just below it. So, but we have that as resistance. But I think that because we had that up on the upper side, we probably should be getting up to like maybe 59.80. But then we have the 50 period moving average in there at 59.75. And we could get up to 50% of wave 2, actually can get up to 618. So if they decide they're going to push and get a better rally, very all possible, all possible. Now, some of you may have noticed if you were trading today, particularly in the NASDAQ or the S&P, it got very volatile. Intraday volatility in terms of just the price movement, how it would just kind of zip and zip and zip, because where we were seeing it, remember I've told you it's like really when they're doing a risk on, which actually they're not necessarily doing a risk on trade right now. That part I do not see. But what I am seeing is that they are really the volatility on the underlying and inside the underlying and the options has really increased. And so as that happens, like when we're sliding lower, as the market just gets a sell program and they just bang, 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 hit it all the way down, and then buyers come flying back in. It really was being held to that same group. And we have in the Mag 7, so we're seeing in Apple, we saw it in Apple, in NVIDIA, and today Tesla. So those same 3. Others contributed a little bit, to both sides. And Microsoft held higher levels for most of the day. Very end of the day, Broadcom kind of jumped in a little bit, and that gave a little bit of a push at the end of the day. But those 3 Apple, NVIDIA, and Tesla were basically in control. And when one would stop buying, the other one would start selling, and one did this and the other one would do that. And so it would look very choppy. And that's why we got this. We got this type of stuff going on inside all of this. And it was really, it could have made it very difficult, but on the other hand, it wasn't for a day trader. If you were a swing trader, you might have had a little bit of problem. You really had to sit through a lot of pain while you're waiting for your move, which eventually across the board kind of happened when we look at this intraday. It did finally kind of pull through, but when they decided to do that, you kind of can get caught up in that because I wasn't looking for it to drop as heavily as it did, but it did. And then they took it all back. And then it went up and it just really pushed for the sequence to a new high. So intraday. And so it's like, wow, just a lot of stuff happening today based on what was trading in the options in these the underlying components of the S&P 500. And again, Tesla, majorly in control of a lot today. Stock was all over the board. Stock traded above 400. Stock traded down to 390. Stock, back up to 400. And because it carries a heavier weighting in both the S&P and the NASDAQ, it really flipped and flied in those indexes. What I'm going to be looking for now, and again, we're closed tomorrow, but I'm still going to be looking for this thing to follow through. We might see a little bit more to the upside. There's our markers, 59.80, 59.95-ish, and then 6,012. Can it get up to 6,012? It can. It really can. But we're noticing how these heavy selling does step back in. When you try to get it up there, bam. And I think we can get another one of those. If they get it up too far, they'll just whack it all the way back down. Now, Friday is an expiration. So I want to take a look to see what, if anything, we have coming out on Friday in terms of numbers. We have the U.S. employment report. So we do have non-farm payrolls. We have all that coming out on Friday. No, we don't. Take all that back. Yeah, we do. Sorry. U.S. unemployment, the rate, hourly wages, et cetera, and then at 10, those are all at 8:30 a.m. on Friday morning. And then at 10 a.m., we have the University of Michigan consumer sentiment. That can be a rocker, but right now it's going to look like it's going to come in unchanged. So if it doesn't, then we might get a little bit of a move. Let's go out to the daily and take a quick look at our moving averages to see how they're looking on the daily. This doesn't look all that unhealthy, to be honest with you. So here we have the 20, the 50, and the 8. The 8's below the 50, the 20 still is not. So this also contributes to markets trading in a box. If we're looking at a daily chart and where the 50 is still hanging out, being flat, and the 20's trying, so if the 20 gets below the 50 and joins that, then we're going to look for both of them. If we get a decent down day right now, look at that. It's a nothing bar. Right there. Kind of closes with this big cross. So my personal feeling is we go up a little bit more and then we come back down and we do break that low and likely this low. And all at once. That's kind of my point. I think we just get it and it goes. So we'll see. But the count suggests 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then we drop it more seriously in the third. We get a 4 and a 5, and that completes that 3, and a 4 and a 5, and that completes that 3. Then we come back up in a 4 on a minuet level, and then a minuet 5, and then we put the minor A down there. Hold on. I may have to switch the degree one more time. Because these I'm looking for minor A. So these guys, yeah, I'll shift this degree up a little bit. I was not thinking clearly when I rushed it. But I'm looking for minor degree 1, 2, 3, 4, excuse me, a minute degree 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to form minor A. So this is going to be minute 1, minute 2, minuet 1, minuet 2, subminuet 1, subminuet 2 of 3. So we got, I'll switch that around. My apologies on that one. So I'll fix that. And so it'll be all set. Now, a couple of things that I want to talk about. We have our memberships. For sure, they're going to be starting next Monday. So I'm sorry for the delay, but we had a little bit of a glitch, and it basically was on my part because I had forgotten to do something. And so it gave us another week of sending all this out and introducing Sasha back into the fold. He did put on his update already today. He is feeling a little bit better, and that's all great. On Monday, memberships. Also, we're going to have the Discord server is going to be if you come in and purchase a membership for our YouTube membership, you will have access to our Discord server, and that is where I'm going to try to pulling people in and continue these conversations that we're having about the Elliott, about the moves, about anything. So you'll be able to talk to one another in terms of texting back and forth, and there'll be a general conversation room, a chat room, and so that'll be available. And that is where Sasha and I will be doing alerts. And as we see something during the day, we'll be able to post an alert in and on the Discord server. And that is also where I will be updating and putting on any changes that come in with the options flows, the gamma flows, the where volatility triggers are, where all these things are. I will be announcing them here in these updates, but I also will changes or something gets triggered, putting out an alert within the Discord room. Lastly, two more things I want to also discuss. We are, and it'll actually come via Sasha. We're going to be adding under a separate membership. So right now we have a silver and a gold, and it'll likely maybe be platinum, or we'll call it whatever. It might be bronze. We'll call it something, but it's going to be crypto. So if you have a trade cryptos or you have an interest in cryptos, Sasha does those as well. And by the way, I'm just going to talk in his. He's very good. He's very good at them. And so it's a burgeoning market, and there's a lot, and he does a lot in the not only just in Bitcoin and Ethereum, but a lot of the other what they might call the minor coins. So a lot going on over there in that sphere. And so we're going to start on that. So it'll be a separate membership, and we'll get it listed and it'll be available. And so we're going to start those as well. If you have an interest, please just drop a comment either to me or put it on the NASDAQ, because that's where Sasha is posting, and just say, hey, Sasha, I have an interest in crypto. And so we can kind of get a gauge. And the last thing I want to talk about that both of us are, we do teaching/coaching. And so if you really want to participate still, because we're running the promo in the day trading program, then get to one of us. Because we're offering a promo, and I'm going to run that introduction to YouTube memberships, the video that we made on Christmas on the 23rd of December. I'm going to repost that tomorrow, and so you'll be able to look at it again and get prepared for what's coming next Monday. But in advance of that, it is a promo with the teaching and the coaching, where you're going to get 5 hours of coaching with Sasha and 5 hours of coaching with me. And we're offering it at a very discounted price for a group. So we're going to have a limited number of seats, but we're going to form groups of 5 people each. And then we'll have 5 hours with Sasha, 5 hours with me, and we'll be discussing a whole litany of things. And if you go watch that video, it's all listed. A lot of the indicators in that discussion will come from Sasha, mindset and some Elliott discussions, and how we put things together will be coming from me. And so, again, I think if you're interested in the trading, this is going to be a golden opportunity to pick up some very necessary tools and be more comfortable about jumping in and out. And I want to tell you, today as a day trader was huge. It was huge. It was, you caught these moves and you're up 5, 6, 7, 8, $1,000, and I kid you not. So I'm going to wrap it up right there. Now, again, tomorrow, U.S. markets, equity, and I believe bonds, everything are closed. I do not think the banks are closed, but the markets are closed in observance of Jimmy Carter's funeral, but also I think just to honor him as a former president. And then we'll be back on Friday, and then we will do our weekly updates starting on Friday and then also Sunday, Saturday morning is when I normally would do mine. But Sasha may be posting his tomorrow. I mean, on Friday. All right, that's it for today. The next, it'll be the weekly update will be Friday, Saturday, and the next daily update will be on Monday. And that date is going to be Monday, the 13th. Have a great weekend, everybody, and have a great, as much as we can, a holiday tomorrow, and then good trading on Friday.